So today's satsang topic is how high should we aspire? I'm sure we all have aspirations. We had aspiration even when we were kids, except those aspirations were a little different from what we have today. It was a toy car, a kite probably, and going to your favorite uncle's house during summer vacation, which was less, it was easily achievable and less complex, except now the aspirations we have become more complex, and more often than not they are in two different directions. As simple as it can be, like uh, Paramhansa Yogananda calls it thwarting cross currents of ego. We want to be healthy, so we want to get up early and go for a run. We aspire for that, but we also want to sleep till late. And we want to be healthy, so we want to eat healthy food, but we also want to eat junk food. So the aspirations we have are in two different directions mostly. But is that all is our aspiration, to stay healthy, or just to earn more money, or to get a better job or some other material property? Is that our highest aspiration, is what we are going to discuss today. Now, the highest aspiration a human being can have, what the masters have suggested or declared, is what we are going to share with you. So, only humans can aspire high. You know, a tiger, no matter what, cannot aspire to fly. It's bound by limitation. But a human beings have the nervous system, a well-evolved nervous system, says Swami Kriyananda, which can express God's consciousness. And until we can express God's consciousness through us, we will not be fulfilled. And without or with or without our own knowledge, we are aspiring to express God's consciousness 100% through us. That is the reality. Except we are seeking that aspiration in wrong places. So, there's a story about a beggar. A beggar was asked that, if I give you 1,000,000 rupees, what would you do? And beggar thought for a while and said that, I go from street to street in this hot summer and in cold winters begging for alms. It would be nice if I have a car. And you will buy a car, and then I'll go around and beg. It will be easy. And also my begging bowl, it's become very old. I like a begging bowl in gold. In gold, yeah. That is his limitation. That all he could aspire or think of, despite the abundant gift he was about to receive. Now, I hope you take this in right spirit, but whenever we ask God for something limited, we all are that beggar who wants a golden begging bowl. Because Paramhansa Yogananda has given lots of prayer and affirmations for our own physical, emotional, and material well-being. And Swami Sri Yukteswar even asked Paramhansa Yogananda once, it seems, that, you were sent to West to spread the teachings of Kriya Yoga. What is it you're doing? You're giving affirmations for material success? And Paramhansa Yogananda replied to Yukteswar ji that, Swami Guru, you are a goldsmith. You work with gold. But I'm a jeweler. I have to work with alloys. So, the people who come to me, they need to live in this world. They are a part of this drama. They need material wealth also. So I am giving them affirmations for material abundance. But when you read that material abundance, what is the affirmation? That is where Paramhansa Yogananda has the twist. Now, there are many methods to attract abundance. Like you have heard about this probably. I forget. I think it was a Hollywood actor who wrote himself a check for many Jim Carrey, exactly, for a check, and he got it. So there is there are visualization techniques, affirmation. So when I was looking at Paramhansa Yogananda's affirmations for material abundance, I thought it would be one such thing, strong visualization of what you want, fix a figure in your mind, and then go after it. But then Guru's affirmation is like, I own everything, I own everything, even as Heavenly Father does. I am your son, I own everything, I own everything. He's saying, why are you aspiring for a small amount? Ask for everything. The whole universe is yours because you are a child of God. You declare yourself as a son of God. Demand to Heavenly Father. Aspire for the best, the highest, is what he said. So even in material success, in spirituality, as you all know, a spiritual person, or it's said that a spiritual person should not aspire for material success or money. That's the general idea we have in our society. But even in that, Paramhansa Yogananda said, aspire for everything. Aspire for God first, identify yourself as son of God, and then demand whatever you want. Now, another story which demonstrates the same is a couple of them went to Paramhansa Yogananda and they addressed their problems to him. They heard that this is a great master. That's a great master. If you go to him, he could solve our problem. So he went, and when he mentioned their problem, Paramhansa Yogananda's reply was, love God. And they said, that's all right, but we have these problems. And they said the problem again. And Paramhansa Yogananda said, love God. And we will love God, but this problem, how can we overcome this problem? And third time he said, love God. And probably those people who asked the question left, I think this guy doesn't understand anything. But the message was loud and clear. Why are you aspiring to solve small, teeny, tiny problems in your life? Just solve just get over Maya, get over duality in itself. That is what you have to aspire. Imagine, for example, take a moment and bring to your mind the greatest challenge you might have right now. It might be in a relation, it might be in finance, it might be in health. And just ask yourself that God or Guru appears in front of you and they remove that problem. The problem doesn't exist anymore. Does this mean that you're going to live happily ever after? Not at all, because tomorrow morning there'll be a different set of problems, different set of requirements. So instead of solving one problem after another, just rise above the problem. Why don't you aspire to be in a place where problems do not exist? That's what when they say, Paramhansa, and all the gurus have said this, they said that do not just give me your good or bad. There are people who pray to God and gurus, I don't want this, take it away from me, I am suffering. And there are other devotees who say, no, how can I offer good, only bad things to God? I offer all my good karma to God. Bad, it's mine. I will suffer. I will prove that I am, I'm worthy of your love. God and Guru says, no. Give me both your good and bad, or don't give anything. Rise above duality and go to a place where problems cease to exist. That is our highest aspiration. So in this world which is bound by Maya, where we are supposed to seek ever new joy, all we face is ever new problems. So from shifting our identity from this problem consciousness to a place, to a level of consciousness where problem do not exist, the only way is to overcome our likes and dislikes and let God's energy flow through us. I'll reread this prayer which we just read. Thou art the doer, Lord, not I. Express thy perfection through me as I strive ever eagerly to live in thy light. And the affirmation of humility and how to rise above, how high you should aspire, is both are in relation, because our aspirations are polluted by our likes and dislikes. They are not the highest we can achieve. If we understand that God can flow through us and God can work through us, that is our ultimate aim. That for God's consciousness through to express through ourselves. And the abstractions are likes and dislikes. The abstractions are I am the doer consciousness. And humility, Paramhansa Yogananda says, is like a valley where God's blessings and abundant showers can collect and gather in the valley of humility, but they cannot gather in the peak of ego consciousness. So that humility should be cultivated. Now, Paramhansa Yogananda in Autobiography mentions a story of how Mahavatar Babaji in a Kumbh Mela was serving, was washing the utensils of anchorite, of another sadhu. And when Larry Mashaya was judging a person, that a person was wearing the garbs of a renunciate, but he was not having the inner corresponding renunciating, the attitude of a renunciate, he was judging the person, and immediately Mahavatar Babaji taught him the lessons a lesson that do not judge others. And he said that after washing the utensils, he is also going to massage his legs, and thereby learning the greatest virtue which pleases God, which is humility. Ramakrishna Paramhansa also did something similar. Every night around 12:30 or 1, he just vanishes from his room. And the devotee who continuously kept watching this said, every day he goes somewhere at the same time, let me follow. It so happened that he went and he walked a few meters away. There was a public toilet. He went, he cleaned the toilet spick and span, and came back and came to sleep. And when this devotee who followed him said, why in the world you need to do this? He said, I need to remind myself. I need to practice humility. And only then God will express through me. So I'll leave you with a sacred invitation. This is by Paramhansa Yogananda. So this he calls a sacred invitation, which I will read to you. Or let's consider this as Paramhansa Yogananda inviting us all. Come out of your closed chamber of limitation. Breathe in the fresh air of vital thoughts. Exhale poisonous thoughts of discouragement, discontentment, and hopelessness. Never suggest to your mind human limitations of sickness, old age, or death, but constantly remind yourself, I am the infinite which has become the body. Take long mental walks on the path of self-confidence. Exercise with instruments of judgment, introspection, and initiative. Feast unstingingly on creative thinking within yourself and others. Above all, cultivate the habit of meditation. This is the inner switch you turn on to connect yourself with the infinite. Hold on to the after effects of meditation by your attention. You will then find that you are a reservoir of power in body, mind, and soul. By constantly holding in mind the peaceful after effects of meditation, by feeling immortality in the body, and by feeling the ocean of God's bliss beneath the changeable waves of experiences, the soul can find perpetual rejuvenation. You are all God's, if only you knew it. You are all God's, if only you knew it. You must look within. Behind the wave of your consciousness is the sea of God's presence. Claim your divine birthright. Awake, and you shall behold the glory of God. Thank you.
As I was reflecting on this topic, how high we should aspire, I really thought that we frankly have no choice but to aspire for the highest. There was once a gentleman who asked Ananda Mohima that my mind is always restless, and Ananda Mohima told him, restlessness will never cease. It is restless for God. Until it gets God, it cannot find peace. As soon as the mind finds Him, it becomes calm. Hence, until we find God, until we realize what we truly are, until we aspire to the highest, and the highest, as Hari said, is to know that we are not like God, but we are that God. We are that Spirit. The Spirit is living through us, speaking through us, acting through us. And until we realize this, we are never ever going to feel that rest, that complete rest and peace in our mind. So no matter how much we aspire and do whatever we want, until we aspire to this realization of ourselves, of our true nature, we are not going to be restful. We are never going to find peace. So we really have no other choice but to aspire for the highest. Yogananda ji also said that after 8 billion incarnations of being an animal, plant, mineral, stones, or everything that we have become, finally God has manifested in a human form in us. And specially, God designed this human form, as Hari also said, physically our nervous system, mentally our mind, our consciousness, which can think to infinity, which can go beyond to any, there is no limitation, our spiritual, the soul. God designed human being specially only with the purpose of knowing and realizing that it is His Spirit, that it is the Spirit living through this. God has designed us specially because He wants that. And that is our true purpose. And this human form is going to help us to achieve that realization. Yogananda ji says we just have to improve on our knowing. And finally, when we have this incarnation, why shouldn't we aspire to the highest? Because God also wants that. And also, Yogananda ji says that whoever is working towards this goal, God specially takes care of their needs. And a lot of people who are in the spiritual path going through this, they say that things just come. Suddenly, I needed this and it has come into my life because God is taking care of you. Because He wants you to realize, to know that it is that your spirit, it is Him who is living through this body. And I was thinking that right now, no matter how much I say, I am not feeling that I'm God, I'm spirit. I can do whatever I like. If somebody asks me walk on the fire, I'm not going to walk on the fire. I'm going to have that thing. I'm not going to be able to walk on the water. So maybe this realization will come someday, 10 years from now, maybe at the end of incarnation, maybe after a few incarnations. But I was thinking that should we wait for that realization that one day after a few years it is going to come? How can I make that realization now? What can I do now that I can at least start feeling this fact, this truth? And also, the masters say that if we start working from now, putting that effort to know this fact, to know this truth, then maybe after a few years or a few incarnations, we will realize it. But if we don't put out the effort even now, we are going to be wandering for incarnations altogether like this. And I was thinking what I can do to really feel that I am spirit, that I am God. And I was thinking and I thought that apart from the meditation technique that Yogananda ji and these masters have given us, of course, Hong Sau and Kriya, there are a lot of other subtle things that they have told us which can help us. And like the sage Patanjali, he what is the definition of yoga that he gives? He says yoga is the neutralization of your likes and dislikes. Okay? And I was really reflecting, I started practicing on this since some time, that whatever thing you are attracted to, resist it. Don't do it. Neutralize it. And whatever thing you are resisting, do it. By doing it, you will neutralize it. And because the likes and dislikes belong to the ego, they don't belong to the soul. The soul does not have these issues. The soul is completely still and calm. And when we neutralize it, the moment we start neutralizing our likes and dislikes, there is a power that is generated within us. There is a freedom which is generated within us, which helps us to feel more and more powerful and more free, like the soul, what spirit is. I love tea. I have a weakness for tea. But I have given up tea because it was an attraction for me, but now I'm resisting it. And the more I'm resisting it, it has no power over me. All these habits, tendencies, likes and dislikes, they have power over us if we submit it. If we neutralize it, they will not have power. There is a sense of freedom that we receive. Standing here like this in front and talking, I was not the kind of person. I always have shared this. It was not me. I was always resisting it. I was not comfortable with it. I was not liking it. But I wanted to practice yoga. I want that union to happen. And I said, no, I will do something that I don't like. And I try that whatever attracts me, whatever I resist, I constantly do it so that I neutralize those feelings. And frankly, when we do that, it makes us feel that we are spirit, we are a soul. There is something that happens inside. There's another thing that Yogananda ji always says, that be even-minded and cheerful at all times. Because our spirit, the soul, is always even-minded and cheerful, which means what? The soul is never influenced. It never gets influenced by outer influences, by people, by things, by situations. The soul is always calm. And even if we don't feel this even-mindedness and cheerfulness, but we consciously make an effort to be even-minded and cheerful and joyful at all times, in spite of not feeling it, then we are attuning more towards what our true reality is, towards that we are soul and spirit. And the more you will start feeling that. And the more it really starts, you feel that. And because all this, because only the ego, when we're identified with the body, this personality, that gets influenced by exterior influences. The soul does not get influenced by that. So even practicing every time, even-mindedness and to be cheerful, we are affirming that we are a spirit, and we start feeling that. And finally, Yogananda ji gives us something that he's shared, and I'm going to read his words. He says, the power of the mind, and this is what is going to really help us to know that we are spirit. And what he says, of all wonders eminent in God's creation, man stands paramount. Man is created in the image and likeness of God. Since God is mind, all things that exist are created by mind and mind action. It is evident that the avenues for any attainment is through the mind. Yogananda ji says that it is God's thought that has become this creation. God is thinking this creation. And so we have the same mind, and if whatever we will think in this mind, we can manifest into reality. We can create it. He again says, it is evident that the avenues for any attainment is through the mind. To say that God is mind means that He is the first cause, that which was in the beginning. In other words, the creative spiritual consciousness of the universe, which is in everything, both expressed and unexpressed. The creative spiritual consciousness abides in that spark of divinity within the soul of man, and man may do with it whatever he wishes, for he has been created in the image and likeness of God with unlimited power. He is the master of his own destiny. If he will only accept and use that God-given power. The only limitation placed upon man is imposed by himself through his thought world. So whatever we think, it's going to become a reality. Whatever we think, because God's spiritual creative power is inside us. But it is only us that we are not thinking that we are spirit. Another thing he says, knowing that God is mind, and that the great creative spiritual consciousness of the universe abides at the center of one's being, man has only to use the tools of his command to create that consciousness in which he chooses to abide. That is why these affirmations that Hari was talking about, whatever you will say to yourself, your mind will rearrange it, that your consciousness rearranges it, and whatever is in your consciousness, that is going to be your reality. He writes, everything there is, all knowledge, beauty, experiences have value only when felt in our consciousness, and only what is in our consciousness ultimately becomes reality. So right now, if you are going to tell yourself, you can close our eyes and tell yourself 20 times, I am spirit, ever conscious, ever new bliss. I am spirit. ever conscious, ever new bliss. I am spirit, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. You keep saying that to your mind again and again, 20 times right now. Something will change in you immediately. Immediately. Our consciousness changes, and he says, whatever we feel in our consciousness, that is going to be a reality in your life. So really, this higher aspiration that we have set for ourselves, it is in our hands. And right now, if we can just use the power of our mind, we can experience that truth even right now. The sooner we do it, the sooner we are going to feel that we are God, we are spirit, and it is the spirit living through this body. So let us use this power of the mind and our consciousness and make this great aspiration a reality for us. Om.